If you've been feeling tired for no reason, this video might just save your sanity. Someone is draining you. And the worst part? They're doing it with a smile. You trust them. You open up. And while you believe you're being cared for, you're actually being hollowed out from the inside. It's not yelling. It's not abuse you can name. It's silence. It's that compliment that quietly weakens you, that touch that manipulates. If you've ever felt an unexplained tension around someone, stay right here, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the 5 hidden marks of emotional predators, and number 5 will shake you to your core. No one talks about it. Comment below. I've felt that. If you've ever walked away from someone feeling exhausted, just from being near them. This video is about emotional freedom. It's about realizing that what you thought was love was actually control. Stay until the end, because the truth will set you free. The invisible enemy is already close. They don't show up screaming. They show up calm, gentle, with advice that sounds caring. They walk into your life as a support system and slowly become the only one you depend on. At first, it feels like a blessing, someone who gets you, someone always there. But little by little, without even realizing it, you stop trusting yourself. You start asking permission to feel, to decide, to even think. And the darkest part, you thank them for it. Emotional predators don't have horns. They have calculated empathy. They offer kindness that comes with a price. They know exactly how to fill the room while quietly taking your air. They feed on your clarity. They drink from your emotional energy. And they leave you more confused, more tired, more fragile. You start to forget who you were before they showed up. And the worst part? You think this is love. You think this is growth, that you've finally found someone who cares. But what's really happening is something else entirely. A silent hijacking of your identity. Have you ever noticed how you're always explaining yourself? Always justifying what you feel, what you do, even what you think? Ever realized how small you start to feel around that person, even though they never raise their voice? That's not coincidence. That's a tactic. Emotional control disguised as care. And if you're thinking, but they've helped me so much, think again. Real help doesn't erase who you are. It doesn't silence your voice. It doesn't make you question your worth. The problem isn't that you're hurt. It's that you're hurt. And you don't know where the pain is coming from, because you're trusting the one who's making the cut. That's the most dangerous part. When the villain shows up dressed as a safe place, you hand them the key, with your eyes closed. But something in you has started to wake up. You're here because a part of you already recognizes the pattern. In this next part, you're going to hear the first real sign. A subtle behavior, almost invisible, but devastating once you see it. And when you do, you'll start replaying moments in your life, like you're watching them for the very first time. Sign number 1, they distort your reality. Gaslighting. It starts small. You begin to forget little things. A phrase, a moment, something that did happen. You know it did, but they deny it. Or worse, they convince you it happened differently. You took it the wrong way. That's not how it happened. You're being too sensitive. At first, it feels like a misunderstanding, but over time, you start doubting yourself. That's when the manipulation takes root. This tactic has a name: gaslighting. It's a subtle and brutal form of psychological control. It doesn't begin with yelling. It begins with corrections, with that calm, soothing voice saying, "You're remembering it wrong." They create a parallel reality, one where they're always right, and you're always too emotional, too dramatic, too much. And eventually, you start to believe them because you're tired, because you want peace, because you've been trained to think you're the problem. But here's the truth: you're not crazy. You're being reprogrammed. Gaslighting is the most dangerous weapon of emotional manipulators. It doesn't need violence, it just needs repetition. They repeat, correct, deny, until your memory begins to fade, until you can't tell what's real anymore. Have you ever apologized for something you weren't even sure you did wrong, held back from sharing something because you knew you'd be told you were overreacting? Heard you're always so dramatic so many times that you started staying quiet? That's gaslighting in action. Because when you start doubting your own mind, you become controllable. That's why this is the first sign. Because it destroys your inner compass. And without that compass, you lose your way. And the cruelest part, they do it with tenderness, with patience, with that same concerned look. The one that says, "I'm just trying to help you." But the help never comes. Only silence. Only emptiness. Only the fear of thinking for yourself. Now that you've recognized the first mark, ask yourself this: how many times has this happened to you? And you thought it was your fault. And if that thought hurts, wait until you hear the second mark, because it feels like empathy, but it's pure poison. Signs number 2 and number 3, the poisoned empathy plus the invisible theft of your energy. They always know what to say. When you fall apart, they're there. When you cry, they offer their shoulder, but something feels off. You feel comforted, and at the same time drained. That's the second mark: false empathy. They don't listen to heal you. They listen to map you, to find your deepest wounds and turn them into emotional ammunition. They don't listen to understand you. They listen to keep you small. And here's the cruelest part: they make you believe they're the only ones who truly get you. They build a bubble around you where only they are safe, and everyone else suddenly feels like a threat. You start to isolate, to depend, to obey. This kind of empathy is manipulative. It's sugar-coated control. And you start to feel grateful. Grateful for someone who's so patient with your pain. But what's really happening is the opposite. That patience is a mirror made to distort you. It shows you as weak, as broken, as someone who couldn't survive without them. Sign number 3, emotional vampirism. Ever noticed how, after talking to them, you feel drained? Your mind feels heavy, your body tense, your energy gone. That's not in your head. They do that. Whether they know it or not, they feed on your pain. Every time you open up, they absorb it, not to help, but to maintain control. It's like every confession makes you smaller, and them larger. They train you to depend on their presence, to feel that without them, you'll collapse. And if you try to step away, the panic sets in, the fear of being alone, the guilt. You start to feel like you owe them something. But what you owe is only the emotional freedom they slowly stole, wrapped in what looked like kindness. If you've felt these two marks, you're already caught in the web. But there's still time, because the next sign reveals the core mechanism of emotional abuse, the quiet pleasure they take in your pain. And once you see it, you'll never look at that person the same way again. Sign number 4, they feed on your suffering. Have you ever cried in front of someone and noticed instead of comforting you, they seemed calmer, almost satisfied? Maybe they hugged you, said, "I'm here for you," but their eyes looked too focused, too calm, too present. That's the 4th mark of emotional predators. They feed on your pain, not always consciously. Some truly believe they're helping, but the pattern is the same. The more you hurt, the more alive they feel. They don't want you to heal. They want you to depend, because your pain gives them power. It makes them the savior, the wise one, the only person who can handle you. And somewhere in the shadows of that dynamic, something darker stirs, a quiet pleasure in watching you sink while they stand calm above you, a twisted comfort in seeing you vulnerable while they remain in control. Ever noticed how these people never celebrate your wins? How they change the subject when you're happy? How their eyes lose their spark the moment you start shining? But when something in your life falls apart, they come back to life. They glow again, because your pain restores their sense of importance, because now you need them again. And just like that, you're back where they want you, listening, obeying, apologizing. This isn't love. This isn't friendship. This is emotional addiction. You become the emotional fuel for someone who only feels important when you're falling apart. While you suffer, they feel needed. While you doubt yourself, they feel right. That's the core of the game, and seeing it for what it is hurts, because sometimes that person is someone you truly love. But here's the question you need to ask. Do you love them? Or were you taught to mistake control for affection? Now, there's only one mark left, the quietest one, the most dangerous, the one that turns you into your own enemy. And those who carry this mark can spend years trying to break free. Sign number 5, the mirror technique, when you become the villain in your own story. This is the final trap, the quietest, the cruelest, the most effective. After twisting your reality, after faking empathy, after feeding on your pain, after draining your energy, they turn the mirror around, and suddenly, you're the problem. This is the moment the guilt changes hands. But you don't notice. You start asking yourself, am I being too difficult? Am I expecting too much? Am I the toxic one? And just like that, they become the victim. You snapped once out of exhaustion. They'll say, "See? I always knew you were like this. You tried to distance yourself." They'll say, "You abandoned me when I needed you most." You tried to set a boundary. They'll say, "You're being aggressive." and suddenly you're apologizing for trying to protect yourself. The mirror technique is cruel because it flips the entire emotional dynamic. You start seeing their traits in yourself, and you spiral into guilt, regret, and submission. They don't even need to control you anymore. Now, you do it yourself. You self-censor. You self-sabotage. You self-punish. And this is where many people stay trapped for years, believing that what they feel is fair, believing they deserve the pain. But listen carefully. You do not deserve to carry the weight someone else threw onto you. This mark isn't yours. It's a projection, a distortion planted in your mind to make sure you never question who's really in control. But now you've seen it. You've understood, and there's no way back. The question isn't, am I overreacting anymore? It's this: how much of your life have you already lost because you couldn't see it before? From here on, everything changes. You know what's happening, but knowing isn't enough. Now it's time to act, to break the cycle, to reclaim your energy, your boundaries, your mind. And if you've made it this far, then you're ready for the hardest part: leaving the game without losing yourself in the process. Because once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. If any part of this video hit you hard, it's because some part of you already knew. You just needed the words, the language, dash, dash, the clarity. And now that you have it, there's no going back. You'll start to remember the conversations, the moments, the silences that once felt normal, but now scream. Maybe it hurts. Maybe you're shaking inside. Maybe you feel angry or confused or guilty. That's all normal. Because waking up hurts, but staying asleep hurts so much more. You're not alone in this. This space exists because thousands of people are walking the same path right now. And every time one person wakes up, they light the way for someone else. If this video spoke to you, drop one word in the comments: awake. It may seem small, but it's a signal to you and to someone who'll read it right when they need it most. And if you have the strength, share your story. This is a safe space. It's real. It's yours. Hit the like button, not for vanity, but because the algorithm only spreads this message. If you interact with it, if you leave without reacting, someone who's living what you lived might never see it. And one more thing, the next video goes even deeper. It's about the most dangerous part of this cycle, why you still miss the person who broke you. It's a topic that shatters illusions and frees you from repeating the same story with someone new. But here's the catch. The algorithm will only show it if you subscribe and turn on the bell right now. If you miss it, it might take months for it to resurface. Yes, this is urgent, because whoever controls your mind controls your life. And today, you took back a piece of it. Now, it's time to take back the rest. I'll see you in the next video. You're stronger than you think, and no one ever again will make you doubt your own light.